Anna Paulina Luna on the podcast, and she was talking to me about the Book of Enoch. She goes, "You ever read that?" And
but
I was
that's
like,
not
"No."
included in the canonized.
Here's why: because of rabbis, a bunch of rabbis said it didn't align with the Torah, and so they yanked it out. But it's an original biblical text, or at least a part of the original religious text that they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls in Qumran. When they found those clay tablets, the Book of Enoch was in there along with the Book of Isaiah.
We need to call Wesley
The Book
Huff.
of Enoch is nuts.
That's
I talked
the
to Wes
Giants
Huff about it.
That's the Giants
It's
one,
not
right?
just the Giants, it's aliens. It's about the Watchers who came down and mated with human beings. Bro, I'm reading it right now.
I know you are. I already know.
Bananas. She told me to read it. And she's like, you have to read this. It's nuts.
And what did Wes Huff say? Did he say there's a legitimacy?
It's 100% a legitimate text. It's legitimate religious text, but they decided not to include it because it's so nuts and because it goes against what the writings of the Torah.
Right.
So, but it was a few rabbis. Just a few rabbis decided. If the Book of Enoch was included in the Bible, it changes the whole story of the human race.
Why would the rabbis decide what goes into the Christian?
Back then they had that kind of power. They just decided that it doesn't get included in the canon. This is a long time ago.
But this is around. Well, who decided the canonized Bible, right? This is Constantine time, right?
Well, that's for the New Testament, right? And so with the Old Testament, you've got Wes Huff would be the guy to ask all these questions.
Enoch was included in the Old Testament.
Oh, it's old as fuck.
Oh, okay,
Not only is it old as fuck, when they found it, they also found a version of the Book of Isaiah. This is one of the things that Wes Huff told me that was really fascinating. They found a version of the Book of Isaiah that is verbatim the same as the version of Isaiah that was 1,000 years later, which they thought was the original.
Unbelievable.
That's what's crazy. For 1,000 years, they maintained the exact same story verbatim, writing it down and passing it on. And the Book of Enoch's in there with that. And the Book of Enoch is bananas.
Yeah, I think we might need to do a little deep dive on the Book of Enoch.
The Book of Enoch, it says that these Watchers came down and mated with human beings and created a race of giants called the Nephilim who consumed and destroyed in the middle of the audiobook of the Book of Enoch. And it's one of the wildest things I've ever listened to in my life.
It's weird.
Oh my God, it's so weird. When you realize that a lot of the people in the Book of Enoch are also in the Bible, and that it's one of the craziest stories. It's one of the craziest origin stories ever, that angels came down and bred with humans and made giants.
Right.
The giants destroyed the earth. What is this story?
It's mostly in the Hebrew Bible. It's the story of what led to the flood. Yeah, the sons of Elohim.
What a strange concept that angels came down and bred with humans.
It's a very weird idea. Well, there's different ways to look at translating B'nai Elohim. It might be, the first word, B'nai, means the sons of. So it kind of revolves on what's the meaning of Elohim. So it could be God with a big G, could be God with a small g, could be angels, could be dignitaries in a government, like judges. Yeah, so, the less far out kind of interpretation of that phrase or that term is, the sons of the mighty, the sons of the judges, the sons of the renowned people, as opposed to the sons of angels or the sons of God.
Okay, so how do you interpret the Watchers? What do you think that could be?
I think, they're not mentioned in the Hebrew Bible. They are mentioned in the Book of Enoch. That's a crazy book, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I started reading it, and I said to my wife, I can't handle this. It's too much.
It's because if that was left in the Bible, if they decided that was a part of the canon, that would change everything.
Well, in what way?
It's the craziest story ever. That these things came down and bred with humans and created giants, and the giants destroyed and consumed everything.
Yeah, those giants.
And consumed each other.
Yeah, bloodshed.
What kind of kooky story is this? What is this?
Well, it's the reason for the flood.
Right.
And all that. Yeah. So yeah, things just got so bad. God said, "I changed my mind," and He brings the flood.
It's like the further you go back, the crazier the story gets.
I know. Well, the Book of Enoch was written maybe 125 BCE. The Book of Enoch is just fully psychedelic. I mean,
Right.
at least a lot of it is. Yeah. It's a psychedelic version of the Bible in some ways. Well, it is really psychedelic. I think it's from the release of endogenous DMT. It comes about, or from drinking and having an ayahuasca-like experience.
That's what you think the origin of the Book of Enoch is?
Well, it's a psychedelic experience, and it could be from spontaneous endogenous release of DMT. It might be a prophetic state that's brought about. It's a visionary state, clearly. Might have been a huge fever dream. I mean, he was really out there.
But like when he's talking about the Watchers and the angels mating with human women and creating the Nephilim, like what do you think that is?
Yeah. Well, the Watchers aren't stated discreetly or explicitly in the Hebrew Bible, but it could be just the angels, because they never sleep. That's one of the qualities, is they never sleep, so they're called Watchers.
Mm.
Yeah, and what happened, like the Nephilim, here comes the role of that three-letter root system. Is the Nephilim? It comes from a Hebrew root, naphal, to fall, or to be brought down. So the Nephilim fell. That's one way to understand them. Yeah, and then they were the giants, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
They were the giants that consumed everything.
Yeah.
And ate their own flesh, and they sound really bad.
Well, I think that what was going on. At least if you're looking at the text anyway, as explanation, it was because of them. The world was just getting terrible. It was full of violence. So, God reconsidered having created man in the first place. But Noah was simple or pure, righteous in that way, and was allowed to survive.
So what do you think they were describing when they were talking about the Nephilim, when they were talking about them as giants? You think that's just a bad interpretation?
Well, they may have been giants, physically. Yeah, I do think they were giants. Yeah,
They even had an actual description of how tall they were by some measurement.
Yeah,
Right? There was some ancient measurement.
Yeah, that's probably in Enoch. It's not just isn't narrated any specifics about the giants. They were men of renown. They were powerful.
Because this is the thing. There's always one of the most fun internet rabbit holes to go down is, are they hiding evidence that giants existed? Like 30-foot tall men that lived in the mountains. And there's always been weird stories of giants all throughout history. And there's people who've supposedly discovered giant bones, and then they stored them in the basement of some famous museum, and they won't let anybody have access to them. Kind of fascinating.
Yeah,
because they do exist. Like those stories exist in history, but you wonder, like, is it just a really big person, like that mountain guy from the Game of Thrones, like an actual human being who's just really extraordinarily big, or is it a different thing? Is it a giant human being?
Mm-hmm. Well, they're giants. Yeah, I mean, it depends on your perspective. Like I'm trying to look at or understand anyway. The giants. As they're described in the Hebrew Bible, or else, by implication, in the Book of Enoch. They were giants, men of renown, and then the earth became corrupt.
And they consumed everything.
Yeah. That's in the Book of Enoch.
The problem is, it's like if you're looking at the least charitable version of human beings in 2025, there's a lot of examples that you could point to that go, well, that sounds a lot like us.
Well, there may be there won't be a flood that destroys all mankind. God promised there'd be no flood that would destroy all mankind. That's the reason that we have the rainbow, or that's the the meaning of the rainbow is the covenant.
God made a promise that he wouldn't flood us anymore.
That he wouldn't destroy all mankind.
All mankind with a flood.
With a flood. But that doesn't rule out, let's say, other things.
But don't you think whoever wrote these stories, don't you think that was a regional event? Like these great floods, like if they were happening, let's just say that Randall Carlson's wrong and there was just one flood in the area, and there has to be, if there's people from all parts of the world that all have this flood story, there has to be some truth to it, right? We agree to that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I read the Hebrew Bible. And that's sort of where my thinking about the events that are described in the Bible as occurring.
So you just leave it at that?
Yeah.
But when you
well, we saw, I mean, the important thing about, I think the important thing that I get anyway out of the Hebrew Bible is a kind of an understanding of how things are between us and between us and God.
Well, I don't think this contradicts that in any way.
Yeah,
it's just fascinating. And when Randall Carlson explains it, and interestingly enough, he first had this idea. He's not the only person to have this idea, but he first had his version of this idea while he's on acid.
On drugs, that's what I was going to say, but I didn't want to say it first.
He looked out and he just had this vision like, oh my God, this was water. Water made this, and it happened really quickly. It just all clicked with him, and then he's been chasing that rabbit ever since. And he's a fascinating guy. When you hear him talk, he's so well read in the subject and can just recall information so effortlessly. So it's a really fascinating guy to listen to talk about it because he's very compelling. Yeah, but I think those younger Dryas impact theory folks are right.
Yeah,
I think something big happened.
I wonder why LSD sparked his genius that way.
I think he said that he saw it. Like when he looked out, he recognized what he was looking at.
Right, there it was.
He recognized that water made that thing.
Yeah.
And that for some reason that hadn't been even thought of. But then when he showed me a bunch of these images where you have like satellite images, and you could see how the earth was clearly, it has the ripples of like massive amounts of water going through certain parts of the world.
Yeah, well, it kind of raises the issue of the spiritual properties or promise of the psychedelics. I mean, are the psychedelics spiritual? Entheogens. Yeah, I just don't know if they... I'm beginning to believe they more enhance... They have to have something to work on. They can only work on who you are. And I think they just work on who you are. I don't think they necessarily... generate their own information that they're somehow transmitting to you. Yeah, it's the question of how psychedelics work. What are psychedelics doing? I think psychedelics, or the psychedelic state, will play an important role in shaping this virtual universe that seems to be taking hold, entering.
Well, it's really weird considering that it was 1970 when most of these psychedelics were made a Schedule of 1 substance.
Controlled Substance Act of 1970.
Yeah. Imagine that didn't happen. Imagine Nixon was not president. That didn't happen. That didn't go through. And the world evolves technologically at the same level that it has now, but also has access the entire time to all these different psychedelics legally.
I think people were tripping hard even after they were illegal.
I'm sure they were, but I bet they weren't as much.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. People will get put in jail. People don't want to lose their lives because they want to, take a tap of acid. So that they didn't do it. It's a real deterrent for a lot of people that want to have a good future. They go, fuck that. I don't want to do drugs. But if mushrooms were legal, you might have made a completely different life choice a long time ago that made you happier.
Right. Well,
or not, but the option to try should be yours.
So you're pro-legalization.
Yes, and it certainly shouldn't be restricted by people who haven't experienced it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would a person who has never experienced psychedelics be able to tell people who've done psychedelics that they can't do them? That's nuts. Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You don't have any experience in the state of mind that is enhancing these people's lives that have come back from war. Like, especially like ibogaine therapy, which is they've passed now in Texas, so they're allowing that to happen now for people with like severe drug addiction and PTSD, and
yeah,
it's
a very interesting drug. I was wondering if you've ever done ibogaine.
No, I haven't, but it's beautiful that it's being approved and used here, because there's so many people that could. So many fucking people go over and have to fight overseas and come back home scrambled and need some help.
Yeah.
And people who got hooked up on pills because they got injured,
right,
because something happened or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you have a real problem. Ibogaine is one of the best ways to kick it, like one of the absolute best ways. It's very effective, right? It's like one dose is like one experience is like 80-something% of the people never go back to whatever they were addicted to?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because of the drug or the belief in the drug. The guy who first started to, kind of popularize ibogaine was a fellow named Howard Lotsoff. Very cool guy. Met him sort of during his late phase, but he, like as a young man, he was addicted, to heroin. And he heard about ibogaine as a drug to just trip on and have some kicks. Yeah, and he stopped, and he found himself just not using opiates anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. The origin stories for ibogaine are really fascinating. Yeah.
So before that, people didn't know that you could use it to kick drug addiction?
Not that much. No.
Well, is drug addiction ubiquitous throughout history? Is there always been people that are addicted to drugs? It's just when does it start getting recorded about people with addictions, actual addictions to drugs?
Yeah, I don't know. There was the idea of addiction in the 1800s, maybe even earlier. It was kind of an American, British idea.
Like, did they know they were alcoholics in the 1400s?
Yeah, all kinds. I mean, I can't imagine what they were addicted to in the 1400s.
Right.
Scopolamine containing plants, the Solanaceae mandrake and all.
Scopolamine, isn't that dust that they blow up your nose and turn you into a vampire or a zombie rather?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Scopolamine. Oh yeah.
Isn't that like that?
Right. It's a zombie drug or something.
Yeah, some sort of a zombie drug.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that scopolamine?
Yeah. Well, do you know Dennis McKenna?
Sure.
Yeah, he tells the story of scopolamine in Mexico. I hope I'm right. It's a great story.
Devil's breath. That's right.
Devil's
medication used to treat motion sickness and post-operative nausea and vomiting, but it also does something wacky.
Yeah.
Like if you take large doses of it, that the devil's breath thing. So you can get it in Dramamine. That's what Dramamine is, right?
It's an anticholinergic, like the scopolamine drugs are.
But isn't like the stuff that makes you less nauseous when you're seasick? Like isn't that
like Compazine?
Does Dramamine have this stuff in it?
It says they're not the same.
It's not the same?
Yeah, one is...
Sorry. Dramamine is oral antihistamine called dimethylhydrinate, while scopolamine is a different prescription-only anticholinergic medicine, particularly in patch form used to prevent motion sickness. Okay. So they put it in a patch form to stop motion sickness, whereas Dramamine is the oral thing that stops motion sickness. Got it.
Fentanyl's also in patches. That's the best way to take it.
It is a weird thing. So, but scopolamine you can get in a patch, and it is for motion sickness, right? But it's when they blow it up your nose that it's not good.
Yeah, well, it's really it's the active ingredient in gypsum weed, loco weed.
And what is that?
It grows in the Southwest. There's a lot growing, or in
Loco weed,
New Mexico, gypsum weed, loco weed. Yeah, it's got scopolamine, and it will cause effects. Well, one of my patients when I worked at the VA in La Jolla, was an alcoholic, back in the day. Took gypsum weed tea, drank a lot of it, wandered off to the desert 2-3 days, one of those kind of stories. Came back. He didn't remember a thing, but he stopped using alcohol. He was brain damaged, though.
Whoa.
Sorry to say. Yeah.
Brain damage from that?
From either being in the desert or from the scopolamine. Took too much.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy drug. Yeah, it is useful. One of the...
I would rather get motion sickness.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, if you take too much, or you have a bad reaction to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think's going on with American health?
That's a good question. Well, I've been fascinated by these videos of pregnant women taking Tylenol to show Trump that they don't believe in what RFK Jr. is saying, that somehow or another anti-science, when this science came from Harvard. Mm-hmm. That's where the study came from. I mean, he's not making things up, and these people are like on TikTok. They're pregnant women taking Tylenol.
Yeah, I took a lot. Well, I mean, if it weren't for Tylenol, I wouldn't be here today.
For real?
Well, I do find it quite helpful. Yeah. For injuries, as you get older, as a lot of people get older, there's pain.
It's acetaminophen, though, right?
It's acetaminophen,
which is really toxic, isn't it?
Well, if you take too much, it can cause...
So that's what it is? It's like a dose thing? Mm-hmm. So 1 is fine?
1's fine. 4 is fine, probably. After 4, can upset your stomach. Liver toxicity is possible. But if you stay within normal limits, it seems to be fine.
So...
At least for myself.
For you.
And also in general, there haven't been recalls for,
And what do you take it for, if you're going to take it?
Pain.
What kind of pain are you getting in?
Feet. On my head, hernia repair a while back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I find it to be a very helpful drug with no side effects.
Well, you should definitely be allowed to take it, especially you. My concern is always...
I should be allowed to take it.
People that don't understand that there's a dose that if you go over that, it's going to torch your liver and you could die.
Yeah, it's all about dose. I mean, microdosing psychedelics are completely different, or in quite a few ways than full dose, or the effects are different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Have you tried microdosing?
I have in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, a while back, I was having some belly issues, and I microdosed ayahuasca for about a month. It's helpful, very helpful.
What is every day like? Microdosing ayahuasca.
Well, it is a microdose, so it was teeny.
So it just gave you just a little peek.
I wish.
Nothing?
Not really. I took more in the beginning, then kind of stretched it out. It's kind of like coffee, like sparkly coffee if you take a little too much.
Oh, yeah? What do you think would have happened if that 1970 sweeping act didn't take place? What do you think the world would... How much different? Have you ever contemplated it? How much different would the world be?
Not really.
Not at all? Good for you. Good for you. Why waste your time?
Well, I mean, when I tried to get my DMT study off the ground, I mean, that was pretty weird. That was, 2 years of just, backbreaking labor.
What year was that? Where it started?
I submitted the paperwork in September 1988. Get my first dose of DMT in November 1990. And I gave a lot of DMT then. I went kind of crazy for the next 5 years.
And you were doing IV drip slow release, right?
No, it was one big dose.
One big dose IV?
Yeah, bolus, IV bolus. Yeah. Yeah, so our high dose was 0.4 milligrams per kilogram. And the highest dose is now being used for 0.3. Nobody has gone back up to 0.4 on a regular basis. Yeah, so people really went out there on 0.4. They were pretty scared.
Yeah.
They weren't sure they were coming back.
Oh,
Yeah.
they weren't sure they were coming back. Yeah. That is a fear. That's a fear of all psychedelic experiences. I don't think you could shut it off.
Yeah.
What is this? And is this real? Is this around me all the time and I'm ignoring it?
Is this real?
Is this real?
Are you and are you ignoring it? Yeah, boy, that's a terrible state to be in.
Terrible. Excuse me.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why I think DMT ought to be carefully taken.
I think everything should be carefully taken, especially if you've got something wrong with you already.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're self-diagnosing with some really potent stuff, like
Right. Then I think it can really go south.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who's going to decide that? Based on what?
Well, no one's deciding for you with alcohol. You could go fill your bar at home with more than enough to kill yourself with.
Yeah, don't get started on it. Yeah.
Right? Like most people can.
Yeah.
Most people, if you have like a little bar in your house, like 3 or 4 bottles of Jack Daniels, a couple of this, a couple of that, you're dead. Drink all that stuff, you're dead.
Yeah. Have you ever gone through a drinking phase?
Not a bad drinking phase. I don't drink at all anymore. But I will still, if I feel like it, I'll have a glass of wine.
What
or
kind?
I'll have a margarita. I like a nice Cabernet, sir.
Okay.
I just like a little red wine sometimes, but I've only had like 2 or 3 glasses of anything over the last like 8-9 months. And even like I didn't even finish the wine. It's like I've lost my taste for it.
Mm-hmm.
The trade-off is not worth it. Like I have a lot of fun people in my life, and I have a lot of fun without alcohol. Like I don't necessarily think it was providing me with the amount of good versus the amount of negative.
Mm-hmm.
The negative outweighed it, especially physically.
Right.
It's just bad for you physically.
Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't drink in high school. And I kind of made up for lost time in college, and I got really sick a few times. Yeah, so
it's rough.
I just stopped drinking, like to that point anyway.
Well, it's like people are having a good time, and I get it. And if you're young, and I get it, I did it too, but it's not good for you.
No,
It's not good for your decision making too, because then the next day you're like, ugh. And if you're at that low state of being hungover, you're fucking for sure not putting out great energy.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to get into that state, or
No.
if you do, you want it channeled really, really carefully.
Yeah.
Like I've never been part of an ultra orthodox sect, but I think what happens in some of the ultra orthodox Jewish sects, there's a Lubavitcher sect in Brooklyn, and the fellow who led that was Schneerson, Menachem Schneerson, and he really enjoyed drinking. He got inspired, and he wanted others to become inspired. Yeah, it has to, some become a conduit. I think it kind of differs, like with Bukowski. You can think of somebody who loves alcohol. First time he got drunk, it was a psychedelic experience, actually. Yeah, in his account, he says to himself, "I think I've found something very, very important."
It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that was never the effect alcohol had on me. I didn't. You feel good for a while, a short period of time.
Yeah.
And then you drink
We
more.
obviously all differ biologically, but some people, it hits a switch that nothing else does.
There's
Some people love it.
Yeah. Well, it's discounted in the text. You shouldn't drink too much. It's very, very
Smart.
very clear.
But I'm not sure you shouldn't drink at all. I think you should drink if you want to drink. And, people get real rigid. You know, especially if you have someone around you that has a problem with alcohol, or you have had a problem with alcohol.
Yeah. Well, there's a huge homeless population in Albuquerque.
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol plays somewhat of a role.
Yeah.
I played a lot more in the Navajo reservation when I lived in Gallup. Yeah, I think people just use and abuse drugs. You
Right.
know,
There's also those things, they sound like there's not a lot of opportunity in the places you're describing, right?
right. So if you don't, you just want to not feel anything.
You're outside a reservation.
Or on one.
Or on a reservation. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the middle of the audiobook Empire of the Summer Moon for the second time.
Okay.
It's all about the Comanches and
I don't know that
the
book.
war between the settlers and the Comanches
Oh,
here.
really?
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm in the middle of this, and I'm thinking, like, have people always been this horrible, and we're just sort of catching up to it now?
Well, you know, that's taken into account in Cain and Abel, the Cain and Abel story.
Sure.
The first two children, one murders the other. So it started way back.
It starts way back with a bang. And you just go, God, have people always been this awful?
From the beginning. Yeah, there's a line in the text that he's going that God is going to destroy mankind. No. What happens here? I think he decides people will only live 120 years at the most, because their inclination is bad from the get-go, and 120 years is enough time to repent and become a better person.
Wow.
So you're given 120 years to deal with what you were born with.
But this book, this Empire of the Summer Moon, it just makes me think, when you think about what life was like for the people that lived here before the European settlers arrived, and how quickly everything went away, historically, in terms of like the timeline. It was only a few hundred years, and it was just completely gone.
Yeah. Well, the Garden of Eden lost.
There was a lot of war. That's the thing that everybody likes to leave out. Like, I'm fascinated with Native American culture. I'm fascinated with this Comanche civilization that lived here, because this book, Empire of the Summer Moon, is it's so interesting. They were so fierce, and they lived right here.
Yeah. Well, there's 29 pueblos in New Mexico, and the Pueblo are peaceful folk. They're agricultural.
Yeah.
That's been their heritage.
The Comanche were not. And one of the things this book talks about is how a lot of the Apaches were not on horseback, and they were, and that they were literally wiping out bands of Apache and forcing them to go to Mexico. It's like, this has always been, there's always been, once they've had horses, which is really like after the Spaniards got here.
Right.
Then once the Comanches figured out horses, they got really good at it. And they were like an impossible barrier to get through this part of the country.
Yeah, there's mostly Navajo around where I lived in Gallup. And they were nomads. They raised sheep. Spun.
Sure. And then on the eastern side, a lot more agriculture, right?
Yeah, with
it's just
all the space in the south.
The amount of time that it took for everything to get pushed, where if you're a Native American and you're it's 2025 for you and you're living on a reservation, you're like, whoa, what happened? You start going into the history of it, like, how many people died? Like, what happened?
Is there Comanche presence in Texas?
A lot of signs, I'll tell you that. A lot of the signs are like Quanah Parker Lane. He was the last Comanche chief.
Yeah. Well, they always name things after what used to be there.
Well, this is all that area. There's a lot of Comanche were in this area, but it went all the way down to Oklahoma. It was just a barrier that you couldn't get through.
Yeah. Well, it was fun living in Gallup. It was mostly Navajo.
Yeah.
Yeah, very low key. They'd come to terms with being, defeated. Part of it. part of, it's
Crazy though, isn't it?
well,
I mean, it like had that. All those things had to take place in order to get New York City. Like, yeah. So you have to decide, what do you like more, New York City, or you want to go back in time and say, don't sell this?
right.
What do you like more? Do you like pizza? Do you go to
Pizza,
a nice?
I like pizza.
I do too. I like to be able to go to a nice nightclub, have a drink, go to a nice steak dinner in New York City, or give
what?
it all back. Give it all back. Go back in time. Just say, hey guys, you're getting robbed. Don't sell this for whatever it was.
You can't halt progress.
How much did they buy New York for?
$27
Really?
in jewelry, fake jewelry even.
No.
Yeah.
Wow, what a deal.
Or $45.
What a great origin story for a villainous country. That their number one city was made through a swindle deal
Yeah.
where it was fake jewelry.
Well, that's where I went to medical school, was the Bronx. Well, you're from New Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I was born, yeah.
Yeah, I trained in the Bronx. I didn't get to Jersey much.
New Jersey's a crazy place because everybody thinks of it as just being city because like it's right near the city, like Hackensack and Hoboken and stuff like that. But it's like mostly rural.
Yeah.
Mostly it's got bears all over the place in it.
There's some really nice coastal parks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The shore is awesome. Small doses.
Yeah.
It's nice to go down there.
Yeah. So the Bronx was great training.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a yeshiva. It's like the modern Orthodox, university in the country. Yeah.
Oh, that's where it is?
Yeah, and it's the medical school of yeshiva. It's called Einstein, and it's in the Bronx. It was great training. We could do anything. We could do everything because it was pretty poorly staffed in some ways in the 70s. Yeah, so we had a lot of duties.
When did you first even have the idea to create a study of people doing IV DMT? Like, when did you even?
That's a long story.
It seems like a good one, though. It seems like a good one because how do you get to the point where you're asking the government to let you do this, and then you get them actually to say yes? That's.
It was the war on drugs that funded our study. It all kind of came to a head with Terrence McKenna. We were up in his loft one afternoon, and instead of saying DMT was a really great drug and asked for money, we said DMT was a really dangerous drug and asked for money.
I think you've told me this before.
Yeah.
But it's a good story.
Yeah.
You just want to study it.
We just want to study it. It's not good or bad.
It's clever because you're not lying.
No. I knew what I was talking about too.
Yeah.
Like I had done neuroendocrinology research with melatonin, circadian rhythm research. Yeah, I was a bona fide investigator. I just asked simple questions. Could we give it? What happens when you give it? DMT is really strange. The role it's played in my life. I've been complaining for years that, not complaining for years, but I don't know. I'm more skeptical of the psychedelic experience than I was before. I don't think it's a panacea. Well, I think it is a panacea. That's the problem.
I think there's an issue with spiritual narcissism. That's a thing that sort of grips people when they start doing it a lot, and then their identity is wrapped up in doing it a lot.
Yeah. Like
there's a little bit of that happens with folks.
With DMT in particular.
Is it? Yeah.
Or ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
Like about once a year, I get an email saying something in the subject line, "You're booking my son." Yeah, and they say that they just smoked way too much DMT. They were in the hospital or in prison.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it became messianic, like you said. Like you believe you know more than anyone, and if they just listened.
Yeah.
False messiah. Well, there's some interesting stories of false messiahs. At least within Judaism, Messiah has not come yet. as opposed to Christianity, where Jesus was Messiah. And
So what is Judaism's version of what happened with Jesus? He wasn't the Messiah, so he died. He didn't get resurrected?
well, he may have been resurrected, but resurrection occurs in the Hebrew Bible, so that's not unique.
Right, but what is their take on it?
Well, end of story, he's killed.
And that's it. He don't come back.
No, not really. Not within the Hebrew Bible. That's part of the New Testament, the Christian Bible. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to bring up is Old Testament is a term that's a little disparaging in a way.
Is it?
It's been replaced by Hebrew Bible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When was that?
Well, it's been building.
Okay. So
Yeah.
is this like a pronouns thing? It prefers this? It wants to be identified as the Hebrew Bible?
They prefer it.
I was saying it.
Yeah, it could be either.
In interest of simplicity.
Yeah. Like I was thinking of, well, you know how people put in parenthetical phrases, he, him. Yeah, I was thinking of doing that for myself once. It and its.
It and its?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be gender neutral.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the.
Or just not ever. Come on.
Yeah. So I was thinking about does God have genitals? And probably not.
Doesn't seem like it's the likely way we were made. But there's probably some sort of a interdimensional psychedelic equivalent of intercourse that higher beings have some interaction with each other.
I think it was the optimal form.
The optimal form?
Yeah, to contain a certain consciousness and do particular things. It's an ideal form. It was ideal. So that's why it took that particular unique shape. Form follows function, things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I got confused there. What are you referring to?
Oh, well, the specific. Well, I think you were. I was referring to man being made in God's image. So,
Okay.
Yeah, with genitals.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it in the animal kingdom, things evolve to do certain things. They have form and function, which combined determine their range of behaviors. So I think in humans, it's sort of was the optimal form as well. Same way, perhaps.
What do you think happened when human beings had this doubling of the brain size over a period of 2 million years? What do you think that was?
Is that true?
Supposedly.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Sounds like a crazy little expansion.
Yeah, so, you could look at it, evolutionarily, biologically, theologically, you can look at it too as, finally being endowed with, a human spirit. There's multiple spirits, and even in the Hebrew Bible, there's multiple spirits.
So as the brain expands in size, you develop a human spirit? I
think so. Yeah, that human spirit allows for divine communication. At least that's how the theory goes.
So
it's the breathing in of the soul to man by God, and it's in man's creation.
Right. So ultimately, we're going to get to be a gray. We're going to have a big, giant head, and we're not going to need to talk because we're going to do it telepathically.
Yeah. Okay. Telepathically, you think people being able to read the mind is a good thing? It will be a good thing once that happens, or if it can happen?
I think it will be a thing. And like all things, it will have good aspects to it and bad aspects to it. I think reading people's minds will be very enlightening. You're going to learn a lot more about how people actually think versus what they project. You're gonna be able to see people's motivations. You're gonna be able to see lies, and we might even have a universal visual language that they develop. Well, we might all be able to adopt it really quickly, and kids probably will jump right on board, and they'll be literate in it before we are.
What about psychological ambivalence? Loving someone one moment, hating them another.
Well, that's
what happens if you tune in to one at one moment? You're convinced that's solely the case. If you're ambivalent, ambivalence is a real thing, and you have an unconscious too, where things are kind of stored away psychologically.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's good.
It might be hard.
I don't know if there is some way where we link up and we can communicate completely telepathically. It could be really weird.
Yeah.
But it will be a thing. That's my point. It's like we're going to have to navigate it like we navigated making books, like we navigated everything else. Like if we want to stay alive, we've got to recognize that there's some shit going down. There's some shit going down right now. And
right. Well, there's free will, isn't there? Forever. You still all these decisions that you have to make. Well, I mean, in this.
Or is there free will? The determinism people don't think there is.
Well, it feels as if there's free will.
Yeah, I feel like we respect free will, so it's probably a real thing. We respect a person who's like been a drunk their whole life, who puts down the bottle and starts running around the block. We respect that because it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Free will there's part of free will. It's like there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there.
Yeah.
You make choices. And you don't know why you make choices, but you make choices. That's the thing. There's a lot of factors in why you make choices. And it's not 100% determinism, and it's not 100% free will. It's kind of, there's a soup.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very
well, to the
movable
extent
soup.
To the extent that you can exert free will, you have to kind of do the best you can.
Yeah, you got to do the best you can.
Yeah, and even if we're uploaded into the cloud, let's say, I mean, how's that time going to be spent?
Good question. Are we even capable of imagining what we're talking about? Are we so crude in our understanding of what's to come in the next 5, 10, whatever years that we're just guessing? We're silly. We're like writing a bad science fiction movie from the 1980s about the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
You remember those, like Space 1999?
Well, it's the one God and the golden rule. I think that's what we'll be, left with ethically. What the basis of our decision making will be.
I've always wondered if we're in a race to avoid catastrophe, and that's one of the reasons why we're so like hyper focused on accelerating with technology. Is that we kind of always recognize that this species is on a race to avoid natural catastrophe. Like there's just so much potential for natural catastrophe, whether it's super volcanoes, asteroid impacts, so many different things have like almost wiped us out to nothing. That it's like might be a part of the reason why there's this like mad rush to make better and better and better technology. It's almost like a game. Like, can you get to the final boss? Can your species survive and figure out a way to stop the rock from space?
Yeah, the footsteps of the Messiah. That's what that's called. I mean, you want to be at you want to be around at the time of the Messiah, but not really, because things have to get so bad. That's one model of the end of times.
There's also a lot of people that don't recognize that being a human being on Earth is being a passenger in an organic spaceship going through the universe. Mm-hmm. Like there are real celestial events that they have to keep their eyes on, which you haven't experienced in your life. So you're like, but no, there's giant rocks that killed the dinosaurs, and they're still floating around, same size rocks.
Yeah, I know.
And they can't stop them. They don't know how to stop them yet. Like, don't listen to any of these fucking people. Oh, if we saw it, we would do this and do that and sleep tight at night. No. No, if there was some gigantic state-sized chunk of metal flying through the galaxy, we would have a real problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might wipe out all of humanity.
Yeah, it might wipe out all of humanity.
Yeah,
And it probably came really close to doing that a few times in history. That's what I think.
yeah,
It's the only thing that makes sense. If we know that we're hit all the time, we all accept the fact that the Yucatan impact, that's what killed the dinosaurs, and there's been a bunch of them throughout history. We find craters everywhere. Everyone knows that we've been hit multiple times. The Tunguska thing in Russia,
yeah.
where it flattened this enormous patch of forest that's still flattened.
Have you been watching season 2 of Graham Hancock's Ancient Apocalypse?
I didn't
work?
watch season 2 yet.
Yeah.
No, I watched season 1 though.
Yeah.
What's season 2 about? It's like the Americas, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the Americas are crazy.
Yeah, I like Graham.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah, he's hardworking.
Oh, he loves what he does, man. He really, really does. And the fact that he's finally been over all these attacks, he's finally been vindicated, and people are starting to accept more and more things, are probably a lot older than we want to believe. And
Yeah.
especially after Göbekli Tepe, that kind of like, that popped the cork on everything, and everyone's like, okay, well, this has definitely been buried for 11,000 years. So this is kind of crazy. We didn't know they could do that back then.
Well, before coming out here, I asked ChatGPT, how old are some of the stories written down in the text in the Hebrew Bible? And at least according to ChatGPT, it's 10,000 years ago. So
Oh my God.
Something may have happened at that time.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's a very interesting finding. Oh, Sodom and Gomorrah, that's a great story. I'm working on this translation of the Hebrew Bible. I've got a Substack now. I've been putting out things every week, a chapter a week.
Yeah.
On my translation of the Bible. It's like 1,000 pages right now of commentary about the language and the grammar, the meaning, what's called the plain meaning of the text. Like there was a Noah with 3 sons and went on the ark. Yeah, so that's like my big project, but I'd like to do a smaller one about Sodom and Gomorrah and the figure of Lot. I think that's a really incredible story. I've spent about maybe 2 to 3 weeks looking at that, Lot, his virgin daughters, the men circling his house, they're asking to know him. He ends up, in a cave with his 2 virgin daughters. They get him drunk, and he sleeps with them. Or they lie with him anyway. Yeah, and out come 2 kids at a certain point, and they become very important. Later on, they're the beginning of the Messianic line. So it's a very intricate, tale with a very, I think you can make some cool conversations between some of the main personages in the narrative. There was a book called The Red Tent.
Can I ask you about the Lot? Like how old was that story?
Wow, that must be, well, it's an explanation of Sodom and Gomorrah, which is around the Dead Sea. There was a conflagration of some sort there. Have any of your guests spoken about Sodom? What actually happened around the Dead Sea? It was quite catastrophic.
Well, tell us.
Well, the story of Lot. Yeah, I mean there was fire and sulfur pouring down on Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, it was the end of the plain. Yeah, so that's the southern part of the Dead Sea. It is a Dead Sea because of its high salt concentrations. It was kind of closed off from the coast. So it's at least a description of what took place.
What do you think it's describing?
Well, I mean, my perspective is
A volcano?
it actually happened. Yeah, but people think a volcano. Some kind of volcanic activity.
It totally sounds like a volcano, right? And we know that there's been a bunch of those that have almost wiped people out entirely at certain points. The Toba volcano, that one?
No.
We got down to, I think we've looked this up before, but I want to say they think we might have gotten down to just a few thousand people.
On the whole planet.
Like 70,000 years ago. 70,000 years ago, there was a massive supervolcano that went off, and it, plunged the Earth probably into nuclear winter. And they think that our genetic line entirely of the human race on Earth came from this few thousand survivors.
Joe, can we take a
Yes.
a break?
You gotta pee?
Yeah.
Yes. We'll be right back, folks.
Seriously.
We're back.
Yeah. So we were talking about the alternative.
Yes. Explain
Universe.
what you mean by that. Like that these things are happening in an alternative dimension.
Right. Yeah, I think they're happening in an alternative dimension. Like when you smoke DMT, you return to the same place each time. So there seems to be some reality, some DMT world that people enter into. And it's one of my volunteers, one of the subjects in the DMT research. He got a big dose one day, and then a few months later, he got another big dose. And he said that it was very interesting. He said things have just continued apace since his first exposure and his first entrance into that state, and things had gone on in the meantime, and he re-entered that world. So in that way, there's in that same manner, the world of the Hebrew Bible early on, Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel, Noah, the Tower of Babel, all that took place at some different level of reality, which gradually made its way into ours. And once it made its way